Okay everyone, welcome to the tutorial. It's the first time I try and do this, so bear with me. Okay, so this is all the shots I did. As you can see, this was a 4-minute exposure that I didn't like. As you can see, I have some flares going on because I was facing the sun. And I was trying to search for my composition on this one still. Sun was going down. I was just testing some speeds, checking out the gradient filters. And I was not very convinced of the composition I had on this one. I knew I wanted these kind of waterfall lines going on, and I wanted to show how big the waves coming in and all this place was, but in composition I really didn't like it. So the sun went down, kept pressing the shutter, and then I said like, oh, let's do another composition, and that's when I started moving the camera to the right. And I started liking it a little bit more as this is another exposure. So this is a little bit better. I can see here in my histogram, nothing's over clipped, nothing is underexposed, everything's right in the middle. So, judging by the thumbnails down here, I think I want to go with this one, which still has these, like little waterfalls. I have some really good light over here. Let me see if I can have another with more color in it. And I went portrait. I really like the portrait, but I want something horizontal right now. I'll probably do the portrait version of it, which I like a lot. I think this last one's pretty good because I can see a lot of light coming in here. I'm liking this one very much. But this one also is not bad. It's good. Something workable. Can you see a little bit of the long exposure going on? See something way back. This one's pretty nice. Although it's white, a lot of white. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one. Okay, so now that we have the image I want, I'm gonna go to the develop module up here. And as you can see, it was a 13-second f16 ISO 50 at 16 millimeters. And it was the 50 megapixel camera, the date and time. Let me take that out. Okay, so you have here in my presets on the left, I have a bunch of them you can see. This is my presets, the ones I made for sale, which are in a link right here. And I just go about checking what's there. Faded photo look nice, but it's not what I want to go for. So this is the landscape quick start. I basically start with this 80% of the time. Magenta sky gets a really nice magenta look, but this one's way too much. Orange teal, no. Sunset's pretty good. And tequila sunrise is pretty nice also, but doesn't work. I think the best way to go on this one's gonna be the landscape quick start, which I am going to show you to see how it's done. So this is my process. On the right, I'm gonna open up that a little bit more. I'm gonna go to, for really fast and easy tip on Lightroom. You right click on any gray bar and go solo mode. What that does is you click on one, closes the other one. That is a lot of space, really great space management. Okay, so I start here. Adobe standard. I like to go to landscape, but sometimes it kind of like makes it all blend in together. Those colors, I like the colors, but sometimes it blends in like this one. So I'm gonna stick with Adobe Standard version 2. For effects, I do add a little bit of dehaze right away. Say 20%. It's fine. Do an auto transform and the lens corrections. That's going to make everything look right. And I double check that it is the horizon is right. So there was a little bit. Let's try and check this out a little bit better with this line right here. Yep, that's good enough. Okay. Go, no. Up with this, up with that. Come on. Let me open it up all the way. And now it's straight. So I use the straighten tool from the crop. And let's go into the basics now. So for highlights, I can see everything is well exposed right here. I usually go highlights kind of low on this, but kind of like right there. A little bit of shadows, open them up. Then hitting Alt, I can see where my brights are. It's like right there. So my whites would be before it clips over here on the histogram. And my blacks, again, I press Alt and scroll back. And pretty much a little bit of the dark is good to go. Okay, now I see. I go with a little bit of vibrance. Just checking. I don't want it like really oversaturated. I just want a little bit of that. Just a little. Clarity, I never touch, and saturation, I never touch. So now that I have what I want, let's start moving a little bit of the white balance. See what happens if I get it a little bit warmer, go a little bit cooler, and somewhere in the middle where I like it. Yeah, pretty much there. The tint, same way. Go one side, go to the other, see what happens, and find a place where you like it. I like it right there. Okay, tone curve. For now, I'm gonna go details right now. I'm gonna check out like all that sharpening and noise reduction. So I will sharpen. I do some sharpening on it. And again, with Alt pressed, I hit the masking and I try and get the sky not to get so much sharpening. So kind of like there is pretty good. Ooh, I'm starting to look at some spots in my sensor. I'll show you how to kill that. And now for noise reduction, I'm going to zoom in here, somewhere dark. Gotta zoom in to fill it up at 1:1. I don't see much. I'm gonna add a little bit of noise reduction even though it doesn't need it. There it goes. Now, here comes the tone curve. It's basically curves in Photoshop, but it works the same way. It might look different on your Lightroom. Just click this little icon right here, and it will turn it into RGB, and you can add linear, medium, and strong. What I do, I go into red, green, and blue, and see what it does. Sometimes just a tad bit. It's going to make a lot of changes. Just a little bit changes a lot. If you don't like it, just double click it and it goes back to reset. I like it like that. Let me add a little bit of a S curve. A little bit too much. No, I like it the way it is. Sometimes you don't need it, and sometimes just a bit of contrast right here is what you need. Contrast. See, if you look at my histogram, everything's on the left side. That means it's a little bit underexposed, and it's going to be on the dark side, which I can actually move with the exposure to the light side. Or you can move it right here. You see this? Gray, it turns to gray with some level parts. You can see down here what it is. So if I go to the middle, I'm using the exposure. If I go to the right, to either side, I'm using shadows. I'm using highlights. This one's the whites, and over here is the darks. So if you don't like using the regular spinners over here, you can actually grab them over here and move them around. You're totally allowed to do that. That's white, so I was overexposing that a bit. Gonna kill the highlights on that a little bit more. Shadows, make it a little bit brighter. It's always a push and pull with this. Get it the way you like it. Okay, I think I got it. I think I got what I wanted. I haven't done anything. You just see me do it from 0 to 100 on this. And I don't put any post a vignette. I'm not a very big vignette guy. And now I use the brush. And I'm going to use a lighten just to brighten up some parts. Gonna put the feather blue. I'm just gonna paint in some of the white part, like not white, but a little bit of the exposed parts I want, like these over here, and some rocks over here. It's something really, really subtle. You don't want to overdo this, because then it will look kind of weird. You can actually see the before and after. It's not much. Before, after. See that? See this ridge right here? I'm gonna turn it off. Turn it on. Off. On. You can see it just a little bit. It's the subtle details on this. If you go too crazy, and you might end up with something like that. You don't want that. You want something subtle. It's gonna go back to lighting. Put it up over here. In the water, I want some splashing right here. Some right here. This is called dodging and burning. It's not a secret. Everyone does it. If they say they don't, they're lying. So this is a before and after. See, I added just a little bit of it. Now I'm going to use a new brush. I'm going to go darken. I'm going to darken some parts now. Somewhere down here. Even in these little ridges right here. Somewhere where the sun doesn't hit, kind of like right here. And create that contrast by hand. These dark spots right here. These dark spots right here. You get the idea. Got a little bit there, a little bit here and there. And this is before and after with dodge and burn. It adds that little bit of punch. It's kind of like if I would grab the clarity and boost it, but without getting those. This is why I don't use clarity. Check it out. See that white little line in the edge right there? Check it out. If I take it out, it's not there anymore. That is why I don't use clarity. It always messes up the edges on like really contrasty edges. And now for the sky. For the sky, I like to use a gradient filter. Sometimes it can darken or lighten, depending on what you're going for. Or sometimes I just want to see what happens if I change the color on the sky. Even though green will boost the yellows, and magenta will boost the blues. Get a balance, and I think I like it up there. Now let's turn off this things, turn on and off the filters you're using. So it's very subtle, cannot see it. I'm gonna boost it up so you can see it on the video. So that's boosted up without and with. And that's about it. Tell me what you think on the comments below. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you around. If you're shooting in San Diego, I'll see you around.